Good evening, I'm Keisha Butts with the CTV News update. Police make an arrest in a tragic Christmas Eve murder. The suspect is 25-year-old Markel Lewis of Clinton, and tonight police say it was a case of road rage. Just days ago, police released this surveillance video. It shows an SUV that was linked to a fatal shooting. Police say the suspect was spotted on surveillance moments after 30-year-old Danny Kelly Jr. was killed. Kelly and his family were on their way to a holiday dinner at the time of the shooting.
The arrest is only the first step to ensuring the road to justice begins for Danny Kelly Jr. and to bring comfort to his family and the members of our community who have been personally impacted by this loss. We extend our condolences to his family and friends.
Police say Lewis confessed to the crime after being arrested at his home yesterday. He's been charged with first and second-degree murder. As you may know by now, snow is in the forecast for this weekend. The amount you will get will depend on where you live. Either way, County Department of Public Works crews are getting ready. Some 250 trucks will be out treating county roads. Spokesperson Paulette Jones says their crews encountered more than 100 abandoned cars on the roads during the last storm. She urges people to stay home.
Because if you have, several vehicles scattered amongst the roadways, they've abandoned them. You don't know, when a lot of those drivers are planning to come back and get those vehicles. So we have to have those vehicles towed. That's time consuming. It delays the operation for that whole street. And sometimes, a whole subdivision sometimes if you have cars scattered throughout the whole community.
Snow is expected to fall Sunday afternoon through Monday morning. Snowstorm prep is underway. That means grocery stores are busy today. We caught up with shoppers at a Largo grocery store this morning.
I'm trying to prepare. I just came from Wegmans. Everything is gone. Nothing, no meat. I have a picture I took. Everything's gone. People are swarming the stores. This is why I'm here.
And I'm not panicking about the storm. It is what it is, and I have enough bread and milk to keep me until things clear up. I have bread, milk, water, the essentials, eggs, the essentials to keep me from being hungry.
Meantime, the latest COVID-19 numbers continue to show some improvement in our area. And while the data are easing downward, the state health department, which continues to advocate for vaccines, says more than 7,500 people in Prince George's tested positive since Sunday. The county's positivity rate is at 25.52%. 69 Marylanders have died of the disease since yesterday. More than 3,300 remain hospitalized due to COVID. A former Amazon worker says she was fired after a coworker verbally assaulted her. Amira Harrison worked at an Amazon fulfillment center in Aberdeen. Harrison, who is Muslim, says the coworker used derogatory language referring to her Islamic garments last year. However, Harrison says she was fired after that worker accused her of hitting her. The Council on American Islamic Relations is representing Harrison and says bias is a possible motive in the case.
I have been searching ever since I've been terminated on December the 16th. And to no avail, I haven't had any luck. So it is very, very hard for me. I'm unable to pay my rent, car note, and all other expenses that I may have.
We are deeply disturbed by the allegations of workplace harassment and discrimination, not only by the former employee of our client, but also Amazon's failure to fully transparently investigate the situation.
We've reached out to Amazon but have not heard back. Well, police need your help locating a missing 32-year-old man. His name is Jarrell Alston. He's 6 feet and weighs 180 pounds. Alston was last seen driving a 2016 Hyundai Genesis with Maryland tags. This was last Thursday after 8:30 p.m. in the 5300 block of Harras Place in Fort Washington. You're urged to call police if you have any information on his whereabouts. You're watching CTV News. I'm Keisha Butts. We'll be back in just a moment.
Being a father is an honor, a challenge, a duty, a celebration, and a testimony. I want to be legendary for you. I walk taller because of you, because I found everything to live for.
Welcome back. Prince George's County Executive Angela Alsobrooks held a virtual sit-down with reporters to talk about her legislative agenda for the current 2022 legislative session in Annapolis. One of her top priorities is to attract more grocery options in the county's more economically challenged areas. The plan, which went before the legislature last year, calls for attracting more fresh food options by allowing grocery stores to sell beer and wine. Alsobrooks says these licenses could be the answer.
People deserve to have healthy places to have healthy foods in their neighborhood. That Prince George's County lags behind the rest of the region in terms of having access to healthy foods. And so the message is that we have to have tools available to attract the businesses that we desire. I hear from residents all the time asking questions about where's my Trader Joe's? Why don't we have additional Harris Teeters? But the truth of the matter is we have to make the business case as to why those businesses should come into some of our most challenged areas.
Other priorities mentioned were infrastructure improvements for some highway interchanges, additional community-based health centers, and a new cancer center at the regional hospital. Maryland is adding 6 new COVID-19 testing sites. They include Holy Cross Germantown Hospital in Montgomery County and Shore Regional Health in Talbot County. The additions will give Maryland 16 sites, which should all be up and running by next week. Meantime, COVID case surge has the state imposing new testing requirements for nursing homes. The requirements announced yesterday apply to staffers, vendors, and visitors.
Nearly 70% of Maryland nursing homes are now currently reporting positive COVID-19 cases among residents and staff. While we want people to continue to be able to visit their loved ones, we will do everything in our power to ensure that they can do so safely. The Maryland Department of Health is issuing an order today which requires all staff, volunteers, and vendors who are regularly in the facility, regardless of their vaccination status, to be tested twice a week whenever community transmission is high. In addition, all visitors will need to provide proof of a negative test or to be tested at the facility with a rapid test prior to entering.
Meantime, Maryland officials are beginning a statewide distribution of 20 million N95 and K95 masks. They'll be delivered through health agencies and testing sites. Baltimore State's attorney is wading in troubled waters. A federal grand jury has indicted Marilyn Mosby on 2 counts of perjury and making false loan applications. The indictment alleges that Mosby cited financial hardships in connection to loans, which allegedly were used to purchase 2 properties in Florida. Prosecutors say Mosby made the claims as she was pulling a gross salary of $250,000 a year. An attorney for Mosby denies the charges, saying they are unfounded and rooted in personal, political, and racial animus, and that they look forward to their day in court. Greenbelt police have released the identity of a man who was shot and killed on Thursday. He is 23-year-old Justin Mack of Greenbelt. The shooting happened just after midnight at the 5800 block of Cherrywood Terrace. Police were called to the area on a report of shots fired. That's where they found Mack on the ground. He was pronounced dead at the scene. Anyone who may have information on the crime is asked to call police. Meantime, some good news tonight. A lucky high schooler will soon go to college for almost free. Aaron Dent currently attends Oxon Hill High. He's heavily involved in sports, including football and lacrosse. He's also a member of the National Math Honor Society. This coming fall, Dent will attend the University of Wisconsin-Madison with a Posse Scholarship. This is a 4-year full tuition college scholarship.
It's very exciting, you know. The interview process was really hard, so I'm really grateful that I was able to make it all the way through and actually get the scholarship too, and to actually get most of it paid off already is really good for me.
I'm grateful as a single mother, and then this is my second son. My youngest son, I have 2 boys, and my other son is a sophomore in college, so this is certainly a blessing to have this burden release.
Dent plans to study chemical engineering. Congratulations, Aaron. Meantime, 11 other students in the county also received Posse scholarships. More news in a moment. Stay with us.
focus on what you can control, like wearing a mask, frequent hand washing, and social distancing. For more tips, visit coping-19.org.
Thank you for staying with us. Early campaign finance numbers show gubernatorial candidate Wes Moore is hauling in donations. Moore is reporting that he has pulled in $4.8 million since entering the race last June. That's the most money raised by a first-time candidate for governor in Maryland history, and at this point in an election cycle. The best-selling author and former foundation CEO says he has more than $3 million in his campaign treasury at this point. Gubernatorial candidate Ashwani John names his running mate in the crowded race for the Democratic nomination. Latrice Hawkins Lights was born in Baltimore and reared in Prince George's County. She has worked in advocacy roles with the University of Maryland Medical System, American Diabetes Association, and the First Baptist Church of Highland Park. Lights says Ashwani Jane is working to make politics more inclusive and accessible for regular people. The 31-year-old previously worked for the Obama administration. If you thought summer 2021 was hotter than ever, you weren't wrong. Much of the U.S. and many locations around the world tied or broke heat records last summer. It was also a year of extremes around the world, from the first ever rainfall on Greenland's ice cap to a historic late-season wildfire outside Denver and a devastating tornado outbreak in the Midwest. So where did 2021 fall in the record books? NASA and NOAA just released their latest global temperature update.
In 2021, the global average temperature ranked 6th warmest on record. And in fact, if you look at the last 8 years of the climate system around the globe, the last 8 years have been the 8 warmest years on record. And we're talking about a record that goes back to the 1880s. The extreme heat waves in the Pacific Northwest in June, where the heat wave itself isn't something new, but the extent of the heat wave. So the immense records that were broken, some locations by more than 10 or 12 degrees higher than their previous records, which is really unprecedented. We've had ongoing drought in the West that's been multi-year drought. We've had lots of flash flooding events from extreme precipitation. We've had coastal flooding that's occurred during fair weather, and that's on the rise and on the increase.
To learn more about this issue, log on to climate.nasa.gov. You can also find more information using the link at the bottom of your screen. Over the last few days, we've told you about the Council of Governments plan for the year 2030. The third part of COG's framework includes equity emphasis areas. Out of the region's 1,200 census tracts, the organization analyzes which of those has concentrations of low-income communities or communities of color.
Turns out of the 1,200, there are 350 of these census tracts. We call these equity emphasis areas. Importantly, for Prince George's, 103 of these census tracts are in Prince George's. A lot of them are inside the Beltway. But with plans for the Purple Line and plans for the Blue Line corridor, we can find some synergy between the high-capacity transit station development and the connectivity with these equity emphasis areas to give as many people as possible opportunities for great jobs in the future.
Our last segment will discuss COG's plans to combat climate change. Meantime, Governor Larry Hogan is applauding a local delivery truck driver and his employer for being good Samaritans. Ron Hill is delivery truck driver with the Schmidt Baking Company. During a recent snowstorm, Hill was stuck in his truck on I-95 when the highway was shut down, stranding countless motorists. The owner, Chuck Petarakis, got a call from motorists who noticed the baking company truck. Long story short, Hill got out of his truck and delivered bread to stranded drivers. And so yesterday, Hogan honored the company for the good deed. Well, let's get a quick check on our 3-day weather forecast. A gale warning is in effect throughout the evening, with wind gusts as high as 23 miles per hour. Evening temps drop to a low around 18 degrees. Saturday, cloudy and windy with a low around 30. Sunday, Jack Frost returns with a wintry mix throughout the day. Daytime temps reach a high near 34. MLK Day, expect partly sunny skies with a high near 40. And that wraps up our CTV News Update. I'm Keisha Butts. Have a good night.